The only question you may ask yourself now is, how am I possibly supposed to know the thoughts of God, the feelings of Brahma, the words of Allah, the actions of Dharmakaya, and the consciousness and essence and presence of the I am that I am? I mean, who are you kidding? Well, actually, that's a good question. How can we possibly know the thoughts of God? Well, it stands written in the Bible that we are made in the image and in the likeness of God. So if it is indeed true that we are made in the image and in the likeness of God, that would mean that God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, has placed an aspect of his or her or its mind inside of us. Or else we wouldn't be made in the image and likeness of God in the first place. And so if it is indeed true that God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, has placed an aspect of his or her or its mind inside of us, this would mean that we should be able to think like a God. And if God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, has truly placed an aspect of his or her or its mind inside of us, that would mean that we should be able to feel like a God, because our thoughts create our feelings. And if God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, has truly placed an aspect of his or her or its mind inside of us, that would mean that we should be able to speak like a God. Because obviously, words are spoken thoughts. And if God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, we'd like to honor all religions, has truly placed an aspect of his or her or its, we also like to honor all genders, inside of us, then we should be able to create a godlike reality, because our thoughts create our reality. Or if we look at this question of what it means, how we can possibly realize God from a different angle, let's imagine our goal is self and God realization. Our goal is to realize God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, etc. Whenever you have a goal, it is usually helpful to define your goal. Because if you don't know where you're going, how can you possibly get there? And if we could so define God, we could define ourselves, because we are made in the image and likeness of God. And if we could define ourselves, and if we could define God, I mean, that should definitely give us a clue how we could realize God. So, we need to define God. Well, now you may ask yourself, how do you possibly want to define God? I mean, God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am is unfathomable, without beginning, without end, ever expanding. How do you possibly want to define the undefinable? Well, you know, if God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, has truly placed an aspect of his or her or its mind inside of us, we should definitely be able to define God and hence define ourselves. So, what is God, or who is God? God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, is a being who knows love without needing fear as a reference point. God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, is a being who knows light without needing darkness as a reference point. And God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, is a being who knows love without needing fear as a reference point. Or if we put it in the words of Sai Baba, the avatar from India, God equals man minus ego. We're going to say it again. God equals man minus ego. Said another way, if we want to realize God, if God realization is our goal, we have to minus the ego. And if we manage to transcend the ego, all that will be left is God equals man, period. And that is our goal. So the next question now is, if our goal is self and God realization, if the purpose of life is to realize God, and if a requirement for realizing God is to minus the ego, to get rid of, to transcend the ego, then naturally the question of all questions is, what is ego? Where did it come from? Who created the ego? How can I get rid of the ego? And does getting rid of the ego really give me self and God realization? And what does all this ego talk here have to do with all the problems in our society today anyway? And how are we going to answer all these questions in a couple of minutes? Okay, where do we begin? Let's begin in the beginning. In the beginning, God, Brahma, Allah, Dharmakaya, the I am that I am, created us. And essentially, our Creator wanted us to realize, wanted us to know and be aware and be conscious of who we are. So essentially, to make a very long story very short and get right to the point that is important for us here and now, essentially, we got the assignment to explore God's creation. Because by exploring Brahma's creation, we could get to know Allah, and by getting to know Allah, we could get to know ourselves. And hence we could realize who and what God is and who we ourselves are. And so essentially, every person on this planet came to planet Earth for the purpose to explore that part of God's, Brahma's, Allah's, Dharmakaya's creation. Now, what is very important to understand is that when we first came here, both our bodies as well as the body of planet Earth, of Mother Earth, was still etheric in nature. So neither our bodies nor the bodies of Mother Earth was as physically and dense as it is today. And that is very important to understand, because what that means is that when we first came to this planet, we could still see the oneness of all life. We could see the spark of spirit, how it was beating our heart. And we could see how the spark of spirit, how the spark of our Creator was beating the heart of all the brothers and sisters that came with us to planet Earth. We could communicate with the angels, with the animals, with the plants, with the mineral kingdom. We could see the oneness of all life. We could see energy moving, and we could see how our own essence, how our own consciousness, how our own energy was touching all of life. And so it was a beautiful, wonderful time. It was a time of oneness. It was a time of beauty, of glory, of splendor. We just had a complete blast because it was such a beautiful planet and everything was in oneness and divine. This time is actually referred to in the Bible as the Garden of Eden. Historically, this is the time of early Lemuria. It was